It should never happen, but I ain't sorry. Feel me? Like, if I could go back, I'll go back, but I ain't sorry. Like,
Adam 22 interviews the individual that took Pop Smoke's life. This is Fresh Hip Hop Opinion with your guy Alize. Don't forget to subscribe. So, Adam 22 hit a new low, people, and I gotta talk about it. He interviewed the young person that took Pop Smoke's life. His name is Blockstar. Yeah, and when he committed the alleged crime, he was just a teenager. I believe he was only 15. Now, obviously, the internet has been talking, and not talking in a very glowing light that Adam interviewed this guy in the first place. But what's gone super viral is when Blockstar said he wasn't sorry for what he did.
it should never happen, but I ain't sorry. Feel me? Like, if I could go back, I'll go back, but I ain't sorry. Like, die every day. Like, he was rapping about it, all type of shit. So I ain't sorry about it, but you know, I send my condolences to the family, and I wish it never happened. But
So do you regret going to the Airbnb that night?
I don't regret nothing, but I wish I never had. Yeah.
But when you say you're not sorry, well, you just seems like you're acting like this is just the circle of life. This is how it happens.
No, it's not. I'm not making this small thing. It's just, I don't know, growing up, my people, my family told me, you ain't sorry for like whatever you did it for a reason, and stand on it. So it's like, yeah, I did it, but it wasn't like we all went to go do that. So start making me feel like, so I feel like people need to start making me feel like I got something to like I owe somebody. I'm sorry, I ain't sorry. I'm not sorry about nothing.
Now, he said he wasn't sorry, but he kind of just didn't like the word sorry, really. It was more, he wished it never happened, but he wasn't sorry. So it's a bit confusing why he said he wasn't sorry, but he wished it didn't happen. But at the same time, I think the young man, he admittedly said that he was high during the interview. You could tell he was kind of mumbling his words, not very coherent, almost like he wasn't there. But I didn't know much about the story of when Pop Smoke got murdered those years ago, so it was there was some information that I did find valuable from listening to it. But basically, it was just meant to be a robbery. And according to Blockstar, there was too much movement going on. It's kind of vague what he actually meant by that. But there was too much movement going on, I think, which meant people running around or walking around. And that's when the actual murder happened. He said that he didn't even know who Pop Smoke was, which did surprise me. It's not like Pop Smoke was the biggest thing for like 2 or 3 years. He just kind of like had a couple songs. There was that one big song, that Dior song, but he wasn't like the biggest, most notable, most recognizable rapper out at that time. But I am surprised, since that guy was like only 15 years old, he didn't know who Pop Smoke was. Because you know, when you're a teenager, you kind of know everything moving. What I believe is he probably knew the song, but he just didn't know what Pop Smoke looked like. But what I got from it is that he was very, very cold. It could be because of the whatever he took prior to starting the interview. But he seemed very cold, very unemotional about what he was talking about and what he did. But it probably wasn't his first rodeo, if you know what I'm saying. But recently, Pop Smoke affiliate Ra Swish have spoken out about the interview that Adam 22 did with Blockstar. He wrote this on social media. Some of the words are blurred out for YouTube purposes, but I think you can make out what he was saying. And you can also make out that he wasn't too happy. And then he adds Adam 22 and No Jumper. But I think he does echo what a lot of people feel about Adam 22 inviting this guy onto No Jumper for an interview. What I'm hearing is that a lot of people just feel like the interview didn't even produce any meaningful information that wasn't public already. And again, people just saying how Adam just interviews people who are gang members and haven't got any talent. So it's not really even a hip hop interview. It's just the only thing relating to hip hop is the fact that he murdered a hip hop star. And is that enough to give somebody the light and the platform for an interview. And the interview was not quick, I'll tell you that for free. And to add more salt to the wound, he actually paid the guy a decent amount of money for that interview. So you paid somebody who committed a terrible crime, gave him a platform. He's probably going to get opportunities to do little things now to make money. Give him a little bit of fame as well. And all for just some views and money for yourself, which is pretty bad, I must say, from Adam 22. I mean, we've seen other people interview murderers, like Vlad has done quite a few interviews with murderers, but it wasn't so soon after the murder or so soon after being released. It was like after when the dust has settled as such. But overall, it wasn't a great interview. Like I said, the guy was high off his head. He didn't even release any information about the actual incident because of maybe for legal reasons he can't speak about it. He just said no comment, or he can't speak much about it. He just ended up getting a story about his life and a whole bunch of questions that surrounded the situation rather than the direct meat and bones of what happened. But the main thing I think for Adam, that he probably did the numbers that he wanted, but was it worth it?
I got Tax Stone in my DMs telling me that I'm for interviewing this kid because somebody tax you somebody. And granted, you haven't done a whole lot of interviews since. I mean, you did do No Jumper. Granted, this was back in like 2016, but you did do No Jumper like a week after that. And I'm just saying, it ain't like anybody's lining up to kick tax out of their Twitter spaces or anything, right?
Adam 22 responds to the backlash from interviewing Pop Smoke's murderer, Blockstar. This is Fresh Hip Hop Opinion with your guy Alize. Don't forget to subscribe. So, Adam 22 has responded, people. He's come out fighting and defending himself. Now, if you don't know, he interviewed Blockstar, who apparently is the guy that was the shooter that ended Pop Smoke's life. And the internet has been super critical of Adam 22. Now, he's known for doing controversial things, interviewing people that aren't even rappers or have any type of hip hop talent at all. It's more really for their story, or if they're a gang member, you can make it onto No Jumper platform. And I'm not criticizing, it's just what it is. And that's what a lot of people say. It's a hip hop platform, but you're not really doing anything that's related to hip hop or is very loose. But like I said, Adam has come out and he has defended himself, and he's had a few valid points. Check out the clip.
I didn't do that interview because I don't care. That's what a lot of people seem to think, is that Adam just doesn't give a. That's not the case at all. I did that interview because I thought that it was an important historical record of somebody who was involved in one of the most tragic, insane stories in rap history. I think if you watch the interview, it's pretty obvious that I wasn't glamorizing it, and that I was trying to have, the tough conversation with him that I thought this situation warranted. Like, a lot of people seem to think that I'm the first person who's ever interviewed which is completely not true. Terrence Gangster Williams, who I had on, and like everybody else in the podcasting world has had on, he says that he's over 40 people. And I haven't seen like even one single person say that I shouldn't be interviewing him. And I think the reason why is pretty obvious. Pop Smoke, famous rapper, beloved. Who did Gangster Williams? Like 40 drug dealers / gang members that you and I don't know. I think that interview was like extremely important, just answering questions that Pop Smoke fans had. And I think that those same people, like, they watch that interview and they feel mad and they don't really know what to do with that anger. But the truth is that piece of content, if you're a Pop Smoke fan, is like way more informative than anything else that has came out since he died. And also, like, I knew at that time that he was gonna go do the interview with somebody else if I didn't do it. So I felt like I was uniquely capable of having a fair conversation with somebody who may have done something horrible, but ultimately at the end of the day is a human being who came out of a environment. And I think that interview tells that story without glamorizing killing at all. I care about one thing more than anything else, and that's feeding the streets, giving the streets what they want. I'm talking about like the people in the hoods, I'm talking about the gang members, I'm talking about the YouTube commenters. There's a lot of overlap. Everybody that I know was incredibly excited to see that interview. It was like one of the most anticipated interviews of the year, because people find it interesting, it's newsworthy, regardless of if you even were invested in Pop Smoke's story. I got Tax Stone in my DMs telling me that I'm interviewing this kid because he's somebody. Tax, you somebody. And granted, you haven't done a whole lot of interviews since. I mean, you did do No Jumper. Granted, this was back in like 2016, but you did do No Jumper like a week after that shit. And I'm just saying, it ain't like anybody's lining up to kick Tax out of their Twitter spaces or anything, right?
Yeah, fam. I mean, he made some valid points. I mean, he went on about he wants to make history. You know, he said it's a historical interview to interview the guy that ended Pop Smoke's life. And if he didn't interview him, he would have gone to another platform and done the interview anyway. I think he's probably thinking of how Vlad interviewed Keefy D and all these other legendary people. And Vlad's always going on about how he likes to interview people about their life story, because when they're gone, people will Google this person's life story and they'll find it on Vlad TV. Adam also said he wasn't trying to glorify what Blockstar did, and he tried to really make that message conveyed in the way he was interviewing him. Well, I don't know. I watched it. I don't believe he tried to glorify it, but he didn't really denounce him or criticize what he did either. He just asked him some regular questions, which Blockstar basically was ignoring and saying he can't comment on that, maybe for legal reasons. Then Adam tried to defend himself, which I think this was a valid point really. People are going on about how it's wrong that he interviewed him, but nobody really goes on about Terrence Gangster Williams, that Birdman's brother, who has admitted that he has ended multiple people's lives. And he's on a lot of platforms, that's for sure. He's one of probably the biggest people out there in terms of interviews in the hip hop space. And it's true, the only difference is that Blockstar ended a famous rapper's life and Terrence Gangster Williams ended a whole bunch of people we don't know. Because just on some moral level, you should have a problem more with Terrence Williams just purely on the number of people that he ended, but no one does. Well, a minority does. And then Adam gets a bit more aggressive with this last bit, speaking about Tax Stone. I don't know how Tax Stone gets all these communications out to the real world when he's locked up. It's crazy. They were like grown adults out here who don't have a mobile phone, and this guy who's doing like 30 years has got a mobile phone. Go figure, people. But in summary, yeah, Adam's come out defending himself, but I don't think this is going to really sway many people's opinions about him, because a lot of people don't like Adam 22 anyway. But the fact that you go and interview somebody and pay the person that ended a very promising and likable rapper before he really got started is never going to be a good look. And I don't even think people are really going to care about this interview in years to come. He tried to lock down an interview that he feels is historical, which it is. It's the first interview a Blockstar has done. It is historical in that sense. And I'm sure it'll do the numbers. People want to hear what he's got to say for himself. But I guess based on Adam and No Jumper's reputation of just a channel that's more for clicks, views and numbers, it's just another bit of content that they produced that is just going to have that aimed at them again, which is not a good look. But anyway, people, I want to know what you lot think about what Adam 22 had to say about the criticism he's received interviewing Blockstar. Leave a comment below, like, subscribe and hit that notification bell. It's fresh hip hop opinion. Peace and love.